Thanks for your support as a channel member, keeping it simple. Here we go then, folks. The start of our first full season at Bristol Rovers. I think we've just had a very good summer transfer window. There's a couple of players I still would like to bring in, but there is still time before the window closes. So we might even have a signing or two coming up in today's episode, but it is the start of that first full season. It is a reason to be excited, and I think excitement is always a reason to try and smash through 2,000 likes on the video. So if you are enjoying the series so far, please make sure you leave a thumbs up for me. It really does help the channel out. I really appreciate those of you who do that every day. Thank you for the ongoing support. Let's go and not embarrass ourselves in League One this year. Hello and welcome to Club 2, Part 8 of Non-League to Legend. I'm Kevin. Coming up on today's episode, we have our first game of the season, which weirdly is a League Cup game away against Charlton. I don't think I've ever started the season with the League Cup before, but here we go. And then the first league game of the season is at home against Portsmouth. If you missed the transfer special yesterday, you should really go back and watch it, because I think we did really well. And we brought in a bunch of players on free transfers, a lone player, and managed to clear out a lot of the players we didn't need, whilst also bringing in a little bit of cash. And all in all, I think we've significantly upgraded the squad, and hopefully that shows in performances on the pitch. As you can see, the board are currently satisfied with my performance. They've got lots of stuff to be happy about and nothing to criticise me about at the moment. So all is good in the world here at Bristol Rovers. And this is the team that we're putting out there for the first day of the new season, which is that League Cup game against Charlton. So a smattering of new signings throughout the team. Not as many as you perhaps would have thought, but enough in there for it to look like a different side. We are still playing the direct counter-attacking system. Looking at the assistant recommendations for systems, this isn't actually on the list anymore. I think they recommended tiki-taka, wing play, and fluid counter-attack. So we're going to go with this for now because we know it works, and we are training two of the other options that were suggested. So we've got a fluid counter-attack and a tiki-taka being trained as well, in case this just isn't working and we need to go with what my assistant manager thinks is best. But, you know, I'm a big boy now. I'd like to make a decision for myself, and I think this worked well enough when we switched to it last season for it to be worth starting the new season with. So we're going with Townsend in goal. Jonathan Bond, new signing, is injured-ish, not really fit enough to play, so he's starting down on the bench. So Townsend gets the nod in goal to start the new season. It's last season's back four: Kingsley, Lennon, Kilgore and Blass, because we've got an injury to Gabriel Osho, the new centre-back we signed. He's actually going to be out for the first couple of months of the season with a torn abdominal muscle. Not ideal, because him and Kilgore were my partnership that I had in mind, but we'll just work around it. We'll be fine. Clark at the base of the midfield. Dreyer and Brown ahead of him. So Clark keeping his place. Two of the new boys ahead of him. And they're actually two players who could both just as easily play in that defensive midfield position. We have got Daniel Adshed, who's on loan from Norwich for the season. We've got Joe Budd still knocking around as well, as players who could play in there. So it could be, as the season goes on, one of Dreyer or Brown forces Clark out as the holding midfielder to allow one of these potentially slightly more attacking options in midfield to come in. But for now, we're going with Clark, Dreyer and Brown. If we're suffering for creativity, we know where to go and fix it. Chapman and new boy Smythe. Are we saying Smythe or is it just Smith? I don't know if I can bring myself to say Smythe. Paul Smith. You're Smith, because I won't remember to say Smythe. So Smith on the right-hand side is our new big money signing. We're paying him £7,000 a week. He's worth £1 million already. And hopefully he's going to end up as good as he looks. Chapman on the other side, who was instrumental in us staying up last season. And then our new striker, Stephen Humphreys, gets the number 10 shirt. On paper, he's no better than Keenan Davis. But on this piece of paper, a slightly different piece of paper, you can see that the big difference he's got from Keenan Davis is he's scored goals previously. Not like 30-goal seasons, but he's scoring every 3 games or so, I guess, on average during his Southend career. And I know a lot of that was in the division below, but you know, it's a lot more than Davis. Why is Davis not even on the bench? Because Davis is injured. Goodness me, we've got no backup striker. This is a problem. This is a big problem. We need to bring in another striker, and quick, because with Davis not available, Humphreys has got to be good. Let's get into the game. He might be good. You never know. I hope he is. I've just spent money on him. Let's say I don't know if I don't expect to win. We're the underdogs. An underdog team talk is always a good team talk, as far as I'm concerned. We seem very zoomed out. Are we just really high up at Charlton? The pitch doesn't look the way it normally looks. Am I imagining that? Where are all the fans? There is nobody here. What is the point of having a big fancy ground like this if no one's going to come to it? Kingsley trying to get something going on the left-hand side very early on. Still less than 2 minutes on the clock. Brown's got it in the area. Plays it back to Blass. Back into Brown again. Blass is there as an overlap option. The cross looks for Chapman. Finds him. There's Humphreys. Humphreys scores 2 minutes into his debut. We've got a striker who knows how to do that. That is going to be hugely significant for us this season. A striker who can actually score goals. It's such a novelty here at Bristol Rovers. We haven't had one since Johnson Clark-Harris left under the previous regime and was never adequately replaced. But there's Stephen Humphreys saying, "Don't worry, boss. I'm going to be the man who scores all your goals for you this season. Just don't let me get injured and all will be good." Charlton 0, Bristol Rovers 1 after 2 minutes. And that was, I mean, could we have hoped for a better? I don't think we could have hoped for a better start. I don't think a better start would have been physically possible. But with still less than 3 minutes on the clock, Charlton are now attacking back at us. And if we immediately concede a goal there, then I guess we could have wished for a better start, because it would have been one where we score and they don't score. I'm hoping we're about to win the ball back and have a counter-attack. This is a really weird highlight where Charlton are just knocking the ball around, our midfield are chasing them, but nothing's really coming from it. I feel like we didn't need to necessarily see all of that. We have given away a penalty, haven't we? It literally is the immediate response. Hopefully Townsend, we saw him save a few penalties last year. Hopefully he's got it in him again today, and he hasn't. Jonathan Bond, get your gloves on. We're dropping Townsend off the back of him, not saving a penalty. And with 4 minutes on the clock, it's Charlton 1, Bristol Rovers 1, and all my excitement is gone. They've ruined it. They've spoilt it for everybody. Kingsley now, still only 8 minutes into this game. This is very much an action-packed opening to the season. Brown, with space to run into, finds Smith, or Smythe. Smith. It's got to be Smith. It would have an E on the end if it was Smythe, wouldn't it? Humphreys is there again. I thought he was going to grab a second inside 10 minutes. I was going to knight him if that happened. I think that's worthy of a knighthood. It's so unusual to have a Bristol Rovers player score goals. Remember, our joint top scorers last year, 5 goals between them. If we had a player score 2 in one game, I think I'd get a nosebleed. Ollie Clark's picked up a yellow card. Weak link in the midfield, anybody? Yellow cards obviously not indicating weak links, because Blast we know is awesome. So obviously not. It was just a coincidence that he picked one up. Dreyer now, one of the other players we are spending a lot of money on. Dreyer's on a big contract. And the ball ends up out with Chapman on this left-hand side, who beats his man, squares it for Humphreys, and the shot is straight at the defender in front of him, but getting himself into goal-scoring positions again. Clark playing it back out to Chapman, who's looking to create another go. Brown has a little pocket of space, plays it out to Kingsley. Kingsley crosses back towards Brown. Brown to Smith. We've got Blass, who's ready to do an overlap, but not quite. But Smith is there and in behind and plays it back. No, he doesn't. He crosses to Chapman, and I thought he'd headed that goalwards, but in actual fact, it kind of bobbled back out to Kingsley, who had a shot from the corner of the penalty area that is blasted over. The game's calmed down a little bit now as we're approaching half-time. Charlton 1, Bristol Rovers 1. It was a very, very busy start, and it all kind of petered out a little bit from there. I've asked them to dig in for the second half. I'm also looking at the bench, looking at players I want to get on and have a look at. Adshed, particularly, I want to get on just to see if he's any good, because he's obviously a new signing. Zane Walker is the young winger who did a Mick Powell last season. He's going to be one worth a look at. And also want to see how Bud could potentially fit into this new look midfield around some of these new signings, because obviously Bud is young. He's still only 19. He was one of our best players last season at just 19 years old, and we don't want to force him out of the first team picture entirely with these new signings. He's the sort of player who we do still need to give plenty of game time to this year. Lennon wins the ball back for us, though. And then there's Smith in behind. Smith, who can play as a striker, so he's an option to play up front if we do have a circumstance where we have one of our only 2 strikers at the club unavailable. Smith can go up there. And we've then got Garcia and Walker as options to go in on the right-hand side of midfield. So it's not that we're trying to survive on just 2 strikers, but that's kind of what we're doing. Right, 20 minutes to go. Let's start making some of those changes I was talking about. So Reece Brown can come off for... Oh, there you go. There. I was going to bring Adshed on, but they're saying Bud. So let's get Bud on in there. And that straight away looks like a good partnership. Ollie Clark can come off for Adshed, who is looking less comfortable playing in there. Can Drea go back there? So it might... This might... He doesn't really want to be an anchor man. Or I want a proper defensive midfielder. I don't want a fancy pants playmaking defensive midfielder in there. We'll make him a halfback as a compromise. No, we'll leave him as the anchor man. And I'm going to make the third change. I'm going to take Smith off and bring Walker on, just because I want to have a look at Zane Walker in this team. In fact, we're going to put him on that side because that's where he's natural. And then we can make him the inverted winger. All eyes on Walker, another one of our youngsters. So we've got 2 of our own youth. Well, we've obviously got Kilgore and I think a few others as well. But 2 of the current youth players who are trying to break through actually in the team on the pitch now, Walker and Bud. And we're hoping for big things from both of them because developing youngsters and then selling them on is a big part of life here at Bristol Rovers, because as you've seen from the finances over the summer, unless we sell a player for big money, we really don't have any cash at all. Here is Walker on that left-hand side, cuts inside immediately, ruining the man who was supposed to be marking him. Chapman's there. Humphreys is in again, and Stephen Humphreys has got a second goal. He's 40% of the way towards being our top scorer for last season already, and the league hasn't started yet. Stephen Humphreys makes it 2-1 on 88 minutes. He scored 2 minutes into the game. He scored 2 minutes before the end of the game, and hopefully that's going to be enough to book us into the next round of the League Cup, and that was a proper poacher's goal. The ball bobbling 3 in the area. Chapman and Adshed both involved, but the important thing is Humphreys got the ball in the area, and rather than faffing about with it, just stuck it in the back of the net. We've got a striker, boys and girls. We've just won a game we weren't supposed to win. And what league are Charlton in even? Are they still in the Champion? No, they're in League One. I mean, we're beating a decent league. I mean, that is a good League One side away from home, and a striker scoring 2 goals. We have to be utterly delighted with that. Couple of changes for the first league game of the season then against Portsmouth. We've got Adshed coming into the midfield, so it is now a completely new look midfield. Drea dropping back to play behind Adshed and Brown. It's not a particularly comfortable position for Drea, but you know what? He's so much better than Ollie Clark that I think him playing out of position there is better than Ollie Clark playing there. He says, so much better. But they're both 3-star in that position. But one of them I signed, one of them I didn't. So who is Kev going to favour? Likewise, Jonathan Bond comes in goal for the same reason. He's so much better than Townsend. I mean, my assistant manager actually agrees this time. Jonathan Bond coming in goal, of course, was part of a playoff push in this league last year. I've also decided I'm going to have to call this guy Smythe, which will probably please those of you who have been saying Kev Smythe, which probably some of you have, because the striker we've identified to try and bring in is David Smith from Manchester City, formerly of Fulham. We actually tried to get him on loan earlier in the transfer window when he was still at Fulham. Manchester City have now poached him for £1.6 million. City have accepted an offer to loan him until the end of the season, and he's only going to cost us like £150 a week. Very cheap option as a striker, but obviously with him being called Smith, we can't have a Smith and a Smith in the same team because that will confuse my tiny brain. So if we do get David Smith, Paul Smythe has to be Smythe. So he's Smythe now because I'm hoping we're getting Smith. Logic. Right, let's get into this game. We had a good win in the League Cup to start things off. Let's not now go and mess it up by losing the first league game of the season. We want to start as we mean to go on. The media think we've got an outside chance of a playoff push this year. The board are looking for a mid-table finish. I'm thinking probably somewhere between the two is a realistic place for us to aim. I certainly don't think we should be in a relegation battle again. But if we have a poor start, there's every chance we could get dragged into one. And as we saw last season, the board here aren't particularly patient if a season doesn't start well, because I was appointed by mid-November. So the previous guy didn't get a long time to turn the team around, although to be fair, it was pretty clear by how pitiful they were when I arrived that he was never going to get the job done anyway. That being said, talking of pitiful, we're 1-0 down. I don't know how good Portsmouth are. I can't remember where they finished last year, but we're 1-0 down after 23 minutes, and we need to not lose. So that's... I think Jonathan Bond played for Portsmouth previously. I think he went on loan there after he was on loan at us. As in, when I say us, I mean posh Peterborough in real life. But I could be making that up. I could check. I could just literally click on him and check. Did he go to Portsmouth after Posh? No. Well, that told me. Maybe he made his debut for Peterborough against Portsmouth. For some reason, Jonathan Bond and Portsmouth is ringing bells in my head. I don't know why. Right, let's... what are we going to do? Assertively, much better performance needed in the second half. I think that is reasonable. Dre has picked up a knock, a knee injury. We'll keep an eye on him. We'll leave him on for now. And we obviously have got Ollie Clark down on the bench who can just slot straight back into that position again. As we've recently learnt, he's no worse at it than Drea is. We're going to go balanced. And hope that just by being a little bit more attack-minded, a goal may be forthcoming. Chapman is there trying to make exactly that happen, but doesn't. It's been whereas the last game was action-packed and lots going on, this one has very much been a bit of a slow start. We've gone positive now. We're going to make some substitutions. Drea is going to come off for Clark. Smythe not playing well at all. I'm going to bring Garcia on this time. Different circumstances to the cup game. I know we brought Walker on in the last game to have a look at him. Garcia, we know what we're getting. We'll bring him on. And I'm tempted to bring Bud on in midfield as well for Brown, but I'm going to leave it for now just really because I don't want to make all three substitutions too early in the game and risk an injury. But I'm trying to get some passion out of them. We're playing positively. I guess another option would be to switch the system up a little bit, maybe we could even bring Walker on for one of the three midfielders and go with a 4-2-3-1 because Garcia can play as an attacking midfielder in behind the striker. In fact, I'm going to do exactly that if we don't score here. Blas playing it forward, not to a blue shirt, which is troublesome. And now Portsmouth, if Portsmouth grab a second here, there's not a lot of point in changing and going more attacking. So we're not getting back into the game. We might as well just protect our goal difference. Luckily, that hasn't happened. No, wrong button, Kev. Right, tactics. So what I'm thinking we do, I only just brought Clark on, is make that change and then stick Clark in there, and then just sort of shuffle this whole midfield around. Look at me knowing what position my players can play in now. And then he can be in there doing that. He can do that. And that might work. Let's hope that works. We've got attacking now. And do I demand more? Do we get creative? Let's get creative. I don't want to be too demanding, so I don't know how good Portsmouth are. But here is Walker, getting his opportunity in the league now as part of the changed up system. Chapman coming in off the other wing that he's not used to playing on, and goodness me, does he show it there. And now I want to demand more. But I can't shout. Kev, you shouted 10 minutes ago. You'll lose your voice if you shout again. Now we demand more. I don't know what more I could do in this game. It's been a relatively even match. The real worry, and I don't want to say it after what happened in the last game, but the real worry is we didn't look like scoring at any point. After how well Humphreys played in the previous match, we did not look like scoring. Smith needs to hurry up and arrive. Right, we're going to do the normal thing. We're going to play like half a dozen games or so, get through towards the end of August, which I think is when the transfer window closes as well. So what I might do is do like Posh. I don't want to do Posh and Charlton because we just played Charlton. I guess we could play them again. Maybe Rotherham and Posh. It depends when the transfer window closes. I think it closes the end of August, in which case we'll do Posh and Charlton just because it's half a dozen games into the future. It will show any transfers we've done and will be two relatively interesting games because it's a team that... Where did they finish last year? Mid-table last year, and we've already beaten them in the League Cup, and the team that survived relegation with us last year. How much better than Posh are we now? That's what we need to find out. So that'll be what we do tomorrow. And, yeah, We'll be fine. We're not going to lose any more games, I hope. If you've enjoyed that, please make sure you leave a nice big thumbs up on there for me. Subscribe to the channel for daily Football Manager videos. And thank you very much for watching.